I'm Alyson Stanfield, and you are watching The Art Biz, where I talk with artists and people in the art ecosystem about how the business of art works. In this episode, I talk with Jeff Schaller. He's an artist in Chester County, Pennsylvania, who during the Great Recession started an open studio tour because he believes that artists do really well when they connect directly with potential customers and buyers and collectors in their own studios. He has somehow created this second job for him because the studio tour just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Jeff and I talk about what it takes to put on a successful open studio tour event. We talk about his marketing, his costs, and what artists do well at open studio tours. I think you'll appreciate how much goes into putting on an open studio tour after you watch this. Here's my conversation with Jeff Schaller. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to the Art Biz.
Thank you for having me.
So glad that you're here. Tell me about County Studio Tour and as a part of that, County Collectors.
Okay. County Studio Tour started back in 2008, right after the financial debacle in 2008. I had a lot of galleries. I had about 12 galleries showing throughout the United States and in Switzerland. And then it was like, ooh, I better start concentrating on like local and start selling local and get back to my local roots. So I opened up my studio and I started it with, 25 artists in 12 studios. Previously, I had done it with a friend and David Oleski, and we had like 4 or 5 artists at our studios, and we would just kind of have people go back and forth between the studios. So we're probably about 10 miles apart. So I just said, let's see if we can do this through a county-wide. I also thought it was important for artists, for people to meet artists, and not to, bash galleries. Galleries are awesome. I had tons of them. But it was that, nobody knew it had the mystique of an artist in the galleries. I wanted to break that by opening up our homes and kind of letting neighbors come in and be like, oh, you're an artist? I can't collect artwork. I don't go to galleries. I'm like, no, it's super easy. Just meet us and come into our homes. So that was the premise of it.
Yeah, I love that. And just to catch everyone up, where is the county?
Oh, it's in Chester County, Pennsylvania.
Okay. And that is where in Pennsylvania?
So we have like between Philadelphia and Lancaster.
Okay.
It's kind of right in the middle. We go all the way down to the Delaware border.
Okay.
And like horse country, kind of they call it.
Okay. What do they call it?
Country.
Horse country.
Like we have a lot of horse country. Yeah. We have a lot of windy roads. It's just beautiful. Lots of fields and stuff like that.
I've been there.
You've been?
Yeah. It's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. And I can imagine what a beautiful drive it would be to drive from studio to studio and to get out of the city for that.
Yeah. And truly self-interest. It's the weekend after Mother's Day because my wife isn't going to let me do anything during Mother's Day. I should be catering to her. And my azaleas are in full bloom. It's like the yard is perfect. So, I did plan it a little bit around that.
I love that. When artists always ask me what the best date or day to plan something is, I said, whatever works for you. That's the best day because truly, like you could guess, like you could spend all your days and nights researching the best time, and then someone's going to throw you off course.
Yeah, there's always something happening.
Yeah.
There's always another festival. There's Dogwood Festival in Phoenixville. There's always a conflict, but it's a great time of the year.
Yeah.
And I get my pool, I get my yard ready.
There's a deadline.
Memorial Day. Totally self-serving. No, it is really about other people, but it is self-serving.
I love it. I love that. There's nothing wrong with that. And how does County Collectors fit into this? You mentioned that, people don't have to go to a gallery. They can just meet the artist. So when did that start and how does it fit in?
So the County Collector probably started let's see, the studio tour is 14, 15 years, probably 10 years ago. We were just having, we're opening up and we're just waiting for people, as an artist, you're just kind of twiddling your thumbs. Okay, when's everybody going to show up to my studio and buy stuff? And you're waiting. So I came up with this idea to do a small 6x6 painting. It's on a board, and I give the artist the board and the frame. And I asked them to paint it and sell it for, originally, it was not $75. Now it's $90. And I asked them to paint a painting. We'll promote it, and it'll get people to your studio at 10 o'clock in the morning, because this is when they go on sale. It's kind of like a doorbuster thing. So you're getting an original piece of artwork for $90, which is a great deal. It's an introduction to start collecting. We have some people that have been doing it for the past 10 years, and they have like 30 of them. They just go to different studios, pick their $90 piece. This year, I had a person, and the thing is, you can't, early birds are welcome, but you can't buy. So you have to wait until 10 o'clock, because everybody will like come at 6 o'clock and buy and then run around to the next studio. But I had somebody at my studio at 8:30 in the morning. She came with a book, sat out by my pool, and just read her book until 10 o'clock in the morning to come and pick up my county collector, because she wanted it so bad. Like, that was crazy. So it does work. It gets people there early. Yeah, it's just, I call it the loss leader, like in a business term for artists. Like, this is your loss leader. This is why they put milk in the back of the grocery store, the candy aisle, all of that stuff. So I try to teach artists too a little bit of marketing.
Yeah, I do want to get into that for sure.
Okay.
How has it grown? I mean, you mentioned some of the numbers in the beginning, but could you give us some, like, the numbers now?
Yeah, we had 76 studios and 202 artists. It's crazy.
And the artists can share studios with one
Yeah,
another.
yeah. So we have 76 studios within Chester County, and they can have up to 5 guest artists. So I encourage, I take somebody from Harrisburg, my daughter, I have another person, I've taken somebody from Colorado, like somebody outside the area, and then I introduce that artist to my collectors and to the county. So it's just a great way for collectors to meet new artists and for artists to meet new collectors.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's really huge. So tell me about, I guess that I want to know the structure of this. Is County Studio Tour its own business? Is it a nonprofit? Is it under the umbrella of your business?
Yeah, so I'm Pink Cow Studio LLC. I'm an S corp. I started it as just an umbrella under my business. I had huge plans for this. Well, actually, I'm just an artist, really. I never thought I was going to be an event coordinator. I was just going to kind of, get a bunch of artists together, and we were all going to have fun and open up our doors. And it's turned into, humbly, but like a huge event. It's a big event. I had no idea it was going to get this big. My original intention was to take this and flip it and give it to art associations so they could run it as an event. I asked a bunch of art associations and they didn't want it. I couldn't figure out why. So I joined on the board of an art association, and I figured out why, because it's a lot of work. I also looked at the nonprofit. I spent a lot of time, probably about 5 years, looking at the nonprofit angle, and I just didn't think it would be valuable. And then it would be competing with other artist organizations, the art association that I joined the board of, and other art centers. So I flipped that model and made it an advertising venue for businesses. So I get sponsorship from Citadel, a local credit union bank, Hearst Potato Chip, a local auction house, a local oil and lube change place that really into the arts. So I went to them and said, listen, this is an advertising opportunity for you. I print catalogs. I have all the SEO and all of the analytics from Google and Facebook, and I can tell you what your demographic is. And I presented it to them that way instead of, hey, can you help support the arts? And I just thought that was a better business idea to go and approach these businesses as, hey, art are a business. Thus,
Yeah.
podcast. You know, art
Yeah.
is a business.
I love that. I love that you were very practical. I also love that you weren't trying to compete with the other nonprofits because that pool of money is so limited.
Yeah. And to write I'm a horrible writer. I know I am. I admit it. So I don't want to write grants. I don't,
Yeah.
it just, I'd rather go and talk to somebody about business and how we can have a beneficial relationship instead
Yeah.
of writing a 30-page grant and filling out all the correct stuff. Not my cup of tea.
You get funding from local businesses who want to have their businesses on the website and in the catalog and presumably signage and places and so.
This is the catalog.
Okay, so
It's,
for
it's
this is for video sake. People can see the catalog. It's a nice catalog. How many pages is that?
128, full color, perfect bound. It's serious. This is like the Bible of Chester County for art. People
Yeah,
hold on to this. Art associations, art galleries, and stuff like that. They flip through this to find artists that are within the county.
I'll bet. And do you give that away for free?
Yeah, and we print up 8,000 of these and give this away for free. So we put them in the stores. Now the stores start asking for them. They're like, "Hey, when's the catalog coming out?" And we distribute them all through the county. I give them to the artists, and the artists distribute them through the county.
Okay,
So
and how
you
many
are
of
gonna
those do you print? 8,000. Okay. And then do people have to pay to come to the open studios?
nope, totally free. My philosophy is I want you to spend money on art. I don't want you to buy a ticket to come to an event where you get to see art. No, I want you to buy artwork. So it's totally free for the public. The You're probably going to ask about the pricing structure for artists.
Well, that was so I want to know where all the funding comes from. So you've got funding from the advertisers. You have to print 8,000 catalogs and you probably take out advertising in other ways also. So,
Yep.
yeah. So pricing structure for artists. How much does it cost an artist?
So for an artist, it is $475 for a studio, and then it's $250 for a guest artist. I think it went up to $275. My original goal was, and again, granted, this is 14 years ago. It was originally $400 for a host studio, right? And then it was going to be $250 for a guest artist. And for every guest artist that the host studio had, you get $100. So basically, if you went out and found 4 artists, it would be free because you get $100. And I'm like, this is a no-brainer. And if you went out and sold an ad, I give you $50, and I give you the county collector if you do a decent job at it and sell it. It's $75. So you are already going into the studio tour and opening up your studio with 75 plus 50, $125 in your pocket if you just did a little bit of work. That didn't work too well. The math on that, the artist did kind of like, I just want to paint. I don't want to go out and do this and find other art.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
I
advertise.
know. They just want to give you the money and have you do the work. Yes.
I tried to make it so like basically free. And the back end of that too is I love sales. I love meeting people and just making that connection. So it was kind of like, well, if you go to your favorite restaurant, just ask them if they can put an ad in the catalog, or your hair salon, or wherever you go and patronize, ask them to do that. No, artists didn't want to do that. I was like, this kind of breaks the ice to help you sell artwork. I think in my mind, it kind of like all fit together. In reality, it didn't really work out that way. So I just started absorbing the costs, and now it's $25 you get back for hosting somebody. And I just kind of cut back expenses. I do a lot of the stuff on my own. I have an assistant, and my wife reluctantly does the bookkeeping and stuff like that. So it's basically me and my assistant and I've pretty much streamlined it. The website has been totally helpful for streamlining things.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time with a coder. I was dangerous enough that I knew enough about websites and coding since that was my previous job,
Yeah.
that I was dangerous enough to be an annoying person
Yeah.
to work with a programmer, being like, I know I can do this, but you have to do it. So that's how I kind of managed to do everything. And that's the payment structure.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Makes
Well,
sense?
I think I need to say this for the sake of the recording. First of all, welcome to my world. And I'm very familiar with this. I'm also very familiar with people who really want to help lift artists up, help them lift up themselves, but the artists aren't playing along. They don't want that. It's really hard. I always tell people, like, just give up. Don't even try, because you can't help people that can't help themselves or don't want to.
Yeah. In the very beginning, that was my whole idea. I had blog posts about how to price your work and what to do and blah, blah, blah. And then now I just had to, for my own sanity, just streamline it and run a really, really good studio tour. And there's other people
Yeah.
like yourself and stuff like that that can go out and teach about pricing and teach about how to make a website and the business of it. I give everybody the opportunity to practice that. So I had to focus that.
I always tell galleries, just send them to me. Like, you should not have to deal with this. Just send them to me. I'll get them prepared for you. So, do you know the overall budget for the studio tours? I didn't tell you I was going to
Oof.
ask you that.
Yeah, like the catalogs cost me $24,000. It's probably a $60,000 budget. I'm an artist. I'm like, I got all this money in, and I have to save it and account for it in spreadsheets. And I didn't go to school for spreadsheets and learning about pivot tables and sums and formulas. I'm like, I want to paint. So it's good though. It's fun. I like it. I like the
I'm
organization.
glad you have. I'm glad you have a little bit of help. I hope that you pay yourself something for it.
Oh no. Well, yes and no. It's just absorbed, and if I can get through the end of the day or the end of the week and have a bottle of champagne and food on the table, it's a good week. It's not that tight strings, but yes, it becomes profitable. I think like all artists, if we actually figured out our hourly wage, we would rather be working at McDonald's and probably make more money. The worry, all of that.
So, how does the application process work?
I've gone through a couple of programs. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but some of them are really expensive. And like I said, I had to just keep my costs down. So I developed the application on my end. So it's up through the website, and I developed it through that. And then a juror can come in and jury the applicants 1 through 5. I'm working on the part where the artist can actually update their website and stuff like that, also their portal, because artists, they love to tweak their bio and artist statement. So I can't manage that. Again, emails is like, can I turn color red to scarlet instead of? And I'm like, we got bigger things to worry about. So I want to give that
Right,
all to the
right.
artist. So yeah, I need 3 images. It's kind of like Zap. I need 3 images plus a studio shot. Um, I say it's blind, but we do need a studio shot because I think it's kind of like realtors. You have to be in the studio smiling and presenting your stuff. So the last shot is the artist shot. I think the jurors, it basically, you just have to have good work, consistent work, and it's kind of a low bar, but it's a good bar. It's
Yeah.
a majority of it's attrition.
Who is the juror? Who jurors it? Juries it.
Oh, I can say that. I'll put a target on their head.
Oh, but I mean, you just get, is it a single person, a new person every year, or?
No, I try to get 3 gallery owners. I try to get in like the art director of art associations and stuff like that, and gallery owners, because I want them to see the artwork too. And I think they love to do it. They say yes, every time I ask somebody, because they get a sneak preview of like 200 and something artists that they get to pick through too, because everybody's looking for artists for the galleries and stuff
Yeah.
and the art association.
Yeah.
So it's a really community thing. And I have a stake in it too. So kind of the
Yeah.
overall theme of it and make sure everything works.
What kind of artist does well at your studio tours, do you think?
The most successful artists are the ones that do good artwork and like they take professional photos because everybody looks at the website and in the catalog. So if your photo's good and you do good artwork and then meeting the artist, be professional, be friendly, and be enthusiastic about your artwork. They sell. I've gone to studio tours because I ran it in some other counties. And I think for doing art shows too, like the artist that just sits behind their booth and doesn't greet people doesn't sell artwork. It, you just have to be out there, be present, and be nice. Those are the good artists. Those are the successful ones.
Okay. So you haven't said anything about, I mean, you said that it's kind of hard to get them to help you with the marketing, but do any artists do extra marketing that might help them sell more at their studio tour?
Oh, definitely. One of the biggest complaints is that the studio tour got so big. Like, you can't go see 76 studios within a weekend. And I know that. So some people are having preview parties or after parties, which I totally encourage, but I can't promote or work on. And a lot of people that have a big social presence, social media presence, I give, little templates to post on social media. We have a website, social media presence on Instagram and Facebook, and all the artists that do their own usually do more. What the studio tour also, it's giving the artist an opportunity for you to invite people to your studio. The the best way to explain is, you're talking to your neighbor and your friends and stuff like that, and you're like, "Oh, I'm an artist." But they don't know that they can come over and buy something. It's kind of weird when you're sitting over the fence and going, "Hey, I'm an artist. You want to come over and buy something?" Well, with the studio tour, it's, "Hey, I'm open. I'm professional. Here is your opportunity to come and see my artwork, buy it and support it if you like it." So it's creating that opportunity and that ability to have a conversation with somebody about purchasing your artwork, so it's not awkward. That is the best and most successful artist on the studio tour that takes advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's great to have the support of any venue, a gallery, a museum, a retail space. I mean, it's great to have that support. But the artists that do well and the artists that the galleries like are going to be the artists that go a little bit or a lot beyond that and are actively promoting it themselves, right?
Yeah, yeah, because I think, and I fall into this thing too, it's like, "Oh, I'm a genius in my studio. I'm brilliant." And then you put it out there. There's so much noise out there. You just can't expect people to start flocking to you. It's like, hey, and you have to put it out there in a nice, gentle way and not a salesy pitch. But yeah, come in and check it out. And we worked, the best gallery relationships I have are the ones that we work together with. Not, "Hey, here's my artwork and you take a percentage of it and that was fun." No, we build relationships. We help each other up. It's not you're taking advantage of me and I'm taking advantage of you. Those are, I think, they're the worst relationships.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Artists always say, I just want someone else to do the sales. I just want to work in the studio. It just doesn't work that way.
No, we have to wear many hats. Very few it works for, but they're dead. And
They're dead, but even the top tier artists, probably 80% of their days are taken up with the business of seeing where the artwork is, moving it around, talking to their dealers, talking to collectors and curators. And yeah, it's just, you have to deal with it at a certain level.
yeah, yeah. I try to paint maybe 2 full days a week, finding time in between there. Like I can just, without my assistant here, I can just focus on painting. Other than that, it's like we're making stuff and sending out emails and promotion and follow ups. And just planning the next show, packing up, framing it. There's just tons of stuff to do.
Is there something, just to switch gears a little bit, is there something that the artists who don't get in have in common with one another? Like a reason they don't get in?
The bar is set pretty low because I want everybody to succeed. Basically, I'm saving them from themselves. Like I kind of like look at the work and you just have to develop a little bit more, because if they go out there and they don't sell anything, their dreams are going to be crushed. And I don't want to be the guy that did that. So I'm kind of saving them from themselves. Am I too nice? What?
No one can see me on the podcast, but I can't stop laughing. Like you're doing them a big favor. Well, there is that. There is such a thing as premature showing and selling. Just because you can put anything out there right now doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like off subject, but the worst thing is, as I'm teaching a class and then, people are doing their demos, and then 2 weeks later, they're submitting their demo that they did off of my artwork in an art show.
Yeah.
You're like, no, that's not how it works. So I'm trying to save one artist at a time.
That's something I tell all my artist teachers is that's on you. That's like, you need to include that in your teaching.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
This is what we're doing here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what marketing strategies have you found to be most effective? Is it the catalog? Is it the main marketing strategy?
Yes. I can start saying this now because I am older. Like the demographics for the studio tour are the older type, post-computer, pre-computer rather. We love to read. We're tangible. I just think print isn't dead. It's everybody loves to pick it up. So the demographic that we are looking at is like probably 55 and older for the demographic for the studio tour. We are getting a younger group, and I get a lot from the younger is like, hey, you got to upgrade your Instagram stuff and start spending a little more time on Instagram and promoting that. Well, okay, I will. I just haven't figured out how to really crack that nut. I look at the algorithms. I look at how many responses we get from it, and I'm really not seeing the bang for the buck. And it could be the horse before the cart, that I'm not spending enough money on it, or I'm not advertising or boosting in the right places. So I can't really blame it, but the catalog is the number one. And other artists, word of mouth. Oh, and I give every artist 12 signs with arrows pointing to their studio. And I do a whole video on how to put these signs out. And so many people's weekends have been wrecked because they see these signs and they were like headed to somewhere else and like, oh, we saw this sign for an art show and we stopped in. We didn't realize that there were 70 other studios. You totally wrecked our weekend. I have to go back and get my wife and the kids because we have to do this. So in signage, people, my thing is, it's like a yard sale mentality. If you like yard sales and you see a yard sale sign, you slam on your brakes, you go in and you go, oh, let me see what you have for sale. If you like art and you see an art show sign, you stop and you like art. So there's potential for a potential collector right there. As soon as they get out of the car, they're a potential collector because they like art and they're there for art.
Is there, in these collaborations that you have, that's what I'm going to call them, partner businesses that advertise with you, do they do any marketing other than paying for an ad in the catalog?
Some of the galleries do. Some of the galleries will stay open, but like my attorney's in there. She does get some stuff from it from other artists for like how to copyright your work or how to form an LLC and stuff like that. No, I just think they're so busy running their own businesses. A lot of the framers will put a coupon in. I'm assuming they get a return on that because they advertise with me the following year. I don't know how many oil changes or how much banking Citadel gets because of it, but they see the demographics and they see like this is their market, and they're really big into the county. So that's a great help.
I guess I want to know what motivates you to keep doing this and how you balance your studio practice with doing this? Like, for instance, let me start with one question. When do calls for entry go out?
October. That doesn't mean anybody's listening.
Okay. So like
October.
7 months.
Yeah, because the deadline to register is January like 15th. So nobody registers in October, nobody registers in December. Then I say, okay, January 1st, hey guys, we got 15 days to register. And they register, and we can't tell everybody this, but I actually have an extended deadline built in because everybody's last minute, and they register basically the last hour. From there, from January, I have to go through. We have to jury everybody within, I think, like 5 days. Acceptance goes out. I work on the website and the map, assign everybody a studio number because I have to, make the map and have to make it a logical route to go through everybody. We meet mid-February. I give everybody their blank county collector square. They have 20 days to paint it. I photograph it, design the catalog, and it takes 2 weeks for the catalog to get printed and bound. And then we are already in April, mid-April. The catalogs have to be distributed 4 weeks before the show, and then we are off and running. So tight deadlines.
The county collectors, I would call them county collectibles because they are the object, not the person, but I get it. But that's what's in the catalog. Is that the image that's in the catalog then?
Yes. So we have, for your people that are watching online, well, here, I can show you what the map looks like. That's the map with all of the streets and all the numbers.
Yeah.
And then on the website, there's the county collectors. And yeah, these are all the pages. There's 6 spreads of images.
Okay.
And this is what people studio for.
Does each artist have their own?
Yes. As a host studio, you'll have your own page. And so there's you and your studio, and there's your artwork, and there's your guest artist. There's a little cross going back and forth. If you look at the county collector and you're like, oh, what studio is that? You do have to go and figure out where the studio is through the table of contents. It isn't linear. I mean, it's linear, not like a website where you can just click. So that's another hurdle that I have to figure out.
Right. Well, it's as a paper hurdle. If you could figure that one out, you are going to win a big prize. Maybe like at this point, it would be nice to hear a little bit about your background, just a brief background about your artist journey to this point.
20 years ago, I was a web designer for the Port Authority of New Jersey. I had a 3-day-a-week gig. I always worked 3 days and painted 2 days. And then 20 years ago, I was at my interview, and not my job, going, hey, what do you want to do? We want you to learn XML, DHTML. What do you want to do? I'm like, I want to paint. So I said I probably should plan my exit strategy. My wife was pregnant with our 3rd child and came back and was like, oh, yeah, I just quit my job today. But we got Cobra, so don't worry about it. And so 20 years ago, I've been painting full time.
No job, but I got Cobra. Then Cobra is important for those who haven't. I've had it before. It's important.
Yes.
And for people who can't see behind you right now, describe your work.
I would say it's fun, poppy. I use a lot, since I was a graphic designer in my previous life, I use a lot of logos and kind of juxtapose them against fun things. My mantra is, you don't need my problems on your wall, you have your own. So have fun stuff on your wall.
I did not know that was your mantra, but that is a good one. And I can't wait to quote you on that. So I would say that you juxtapose unlikely images with your pop elements and lettering.
In my head, it all makes sense. It's very linear. It kind of goes, well, of course that goes with that, and that goes with that, and that goes with that. And it's like, yeah, of course. Again, back in the studio, I'm a genius. And when I get out on the street, I really have to explain myself without sounding insane, but it seems to me logical.
I'm a huge fan of your dirty poster. So I love myself a good dirty martini. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's so perfect. And that looks so
So
good.
the thing about the dirty is that is from the Dirty Harry movie. Like that font where it says dirty is from Dirty Harry movie. And then you have a little aha moment. You're like, oh, yeah.
Perfect.
And I am targeting like an age group. So
Right, right. There definitely is a dirty martini age group for sure. Okay, so for anyone listening who might want to do this, other than telling them not to, I took that away. What advice might you have for them?
insanity. Isn't that insanity? Thinking you're going to do the same thing 3 times and come out with a different outcome. I do that every year. My advice is patience, organization, and learn Excel. I I would love to try to figure out how to make the studio tour for everybody, and maybe I'm working on designing the website so other studio tours can use the website and kind of have a place where everybody can go. I'm on a loose group of other studio tours in New York and stuff like that. We kind of have ideas. I think I'm the only one though that is an artist. Well, no, they're all artists, sorry, for profit. Everybody else is like a nonprofit running through another umbrella organization. So they have directors and stuff like that. That's another reason I didn't do nonprofit. It's just me. It's me making the decisions, me, coming up with a budget. And if I want to spend $8,000 on bags because they look really cool, I'm going to spend $8,000 on bags because they look really cool and I want them. So banners, yeah. So that's another reason why I did it myself.
The bags are a good investment. If you get people walking around town with a county studio tour bag and people asking about it, there's self-advertising.
Right. But imagine going to a board and having to present it and being like, well, we could do a lot of other things with that money. So that's why it's just me.
You have eliminated the bureaucracy.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to add this to your list of advice. I think it sounds like it's kind of a mastermind. You said a group of other studio tours. It sounds like you all get together and talk about your studio tours and how to improve them or what you've learned from them.
Yeah. It's a loose base group, but I would like to have them all come onto my website.
Yeah.
And kind of go through.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's great. So that's one of your goals. Is there anything else that's coming up next for you or the studio tour that we need to know about?
A lot of people, because it is so big, the biggest complaint I get from artists and from the patrons is that it's so big I should split it up into 2 weekends. And I'm actually thinking about doing a north and a south weekend. I'm going through the numbers to see if it's going to work. And then it's just going to take all of my time. Like I'll always be working on it, which I'm not sure if I want to do mentally. So it's more of a discussion I'm having with my wife and stuff, being like, do I really want to do this all the time and beyond? Because through the summer and stuff, I do outdoor art shows. So I travel a lot. But it's something to figure out and something to I love that's the whole idea about doing it is figuring it out and see if it works. Not afraid of failure either. It might not work, but hey, I tried.
That's so great. Jeff, those artists don't know how lucky they are to have you. So I will say it for you right now. You all are very lucky to have Jeff and his dedication to the artists of Chester County, Pennsylvania. And if anyone listening is in or can get to Chester County and the weekend after Mother's Day,
yes,
do it. You can visit up to 76 artist studios if you have it in you. Jeff, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your sharing your experience and expertise on this topic.
Thank you so much for having me and the opportunity to share it and babble. So hopefully it made sense for everybody.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Jeff Schaller, especially if you participate in open studios, you're considering participating in open studios, or you're thinking about organizing your own open studios. To read the show notes, get links for anything mentioned, and to find out how I can support you in my Essentials for Artist Success program, check out the show notes below. Thanks so much for watching. As always, if you prefer to listen, you can check out the Art Biz podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm grateful to be part of your artist journey.